I've been dating a girl for a few months, and when we first met, she had just started a medication called Accutane. It's a acne medication, and it comes with a lot of side effects.
It really can.
They put, and they put you on Prozac to deal with some of the side effects because they cause depression, thoughts of suicide. Accutane diminishes libido, and so does Prozac. So we met. And she had just started these medications, and everything was going great for about a month and a half. And then they increased her dosage, and her libido just completely went away.
Yeah. And
so the past few weeks have been really difficult because at first I just felt, like I was being rejected, like she just stopped wanting to have sex. And that was really difficult to deal with. And then we kind of figured out that it could be the medications, and then she was she was feeling pressure to have sex, and I don't want that. I want her to want to have sex. So it became a real problem in our relationship. And it was, like I said, it's been really difficult. And now we've just kind of agreed, because she's going to get off of the medication in about a month. And I'm just hoping that her sex drive will come back. But it's just been really painful to feel that rejection. We sleep in the same bed. She's really sexy, and I feel bad. Like, I feel like an asshole for wanting to have sex with her, and I would feel like even a bigger asshole if I broke up with her for not wanting to have sex, especially when she's going on this medication that could be the cause.
Okay, well, yeah, there's a lot to break down there. I think the first thing I would really try to emphasize is that there are kind of two problems that we're talking about here. And one may not necessarily be a problem. Her libido is decreased. Right? So that is its own separate thing that happened. How she feels about that, how she views that, that is her own situation. That's a completely different circumstance than the other problem, which is how do you deal with it? Right? So that first thing of her libido actually dropping, there may be some value if she's wanting of talking to her physicians, of figuring out, is there a different medication? It sounds like you're already making progress towards tapering off of the medication, and all of that is very true and very important. But I think it's most important to kind of keep those two things separate. Right? It would be great if the people that we wanted to have sex with always constantly, eagerly wanted to have sex with us. And it's great work if you can get it, but let's try and make sure that we're keeping that separate from this reality that you feel like you're wanting more sex than you're getting, which is in its own right a problem. I mean, it is a very much a thing to feel concerned about, but in trying to make sure that there's not pressure on her and these other things, I think it's important to recognize that she doesn't owe you sex, she doesn't owe you wanting to have sex, and that is kind of your concern to deal with. That being said, it is a very real concern, and I'm wondering what kinds of things you've been doing to get around it, to what your workarounds look like, and how you've been able to just stay sane in this circumstance.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been easy. We had to start sleeping apart.
We're losing most of what you're saying here. I don't know.
Sorry. Luckily I have a spare room, so we've been sleeping apart.
It sounds like you're down a hallway.
Are you on speakerphone?
No.
Oh.
Did we lose you?
Got better?
Yeah, much better. Okay, so y'all have been sleeping apart for much of this process.
Well, over the past few weeks, when first, I would kind of express that I was in the mood, and she would just not be. It would be clear, and then I would roll over, and I would be hurt, and I would feel rejected, and it would be hard to fall asleep. And so we had to have a few big talks that were really uncomfortable, where we kind of decided that we would just sleep apart sometimes. Like if I was feeling especially in the mood, then it was painful to just lay there next to her. Just all I could feel is like, wow, she doesn't want me. It's just painful. So we sleep apart, and we kind of have an agreement that we're just not going to have sex until she desires it again. And so we're pretending like she's saving it for marriage or something like that.
Yeah, well, I am just coming in as an outsider, but what I have to wonder is if all of this talk about sex, all of this problem solving, all of these discussions and strategies and techniques, if they aren't just really contributing to, oh my God, this is turning into a nightmare, I don't want to be a part of it anymore. You know, if we recognize that our desire to have sex is separate from our sexual actions, our, you know, the things that we say and do, I don't want you to ever apologize for wanting to have sex by any means. But I wonder if there hasn't already been a hell of a lot of pressure and expectation, and we need to talk this through, and this needs to be fixed. Yeah. I think it's important to recognize that as much as you want to have sex, it is totally okay to have a beautiful, wonderful relationship that doesn't include sex.
Yeah, it's just hard to find my biology and the fact that I've never been in a relationship where my partner didn't want to sleep with me.
Sure.
Well, and it is good that you're talking to her about it. I mean, I know that I didn't go to school for it like you, Christy.
Oh, Lord.
And, well, I'm not you, Thomas. But my experience actually lends to the other side of it. I went on a medication and became non-sexual for the better part of 6-7 years. And the partner that I was with was not as understanding as you. She would yell at me, or she would accuse me of not being attractive to her. And it really became something that screwed me up for years. I'm still working through. So definitely reaffirming your feelings to her throughout this process is something that I would highly encourage you to do, because from my experience, it wasn't that I didn't think that she was attractive. It was that I was a Ken doll, you know? And at first I thought, oh, well, I'm just not in the mood. But after months, then it was like, there's something wrong here. And so the fact that you've, you know, zeroed it down and are working together and have a plan together means a lot. And so I think I've got to commend you for calling in, you know, for wanting to find that solution. That says a lot about you as a partner. And I just kind of want to throw that out there. Good on you, man. And definitely do affirm, you know, that relationship, because especially if it's medication, it's not a not wanting to thing. It's a not being able to thing. And there really is a big difference there.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I appreciate that. And we've had talk, and I've asked her, like, are you attracted to me? Because she still wants to, like, take showers together. And so it's really difficult to shower with her. And, you know, I asked her, like, hey, you know, I'm just curious about this because I've never had it. Like, are you attracted to me? Do you see my body and, like, you desire me? And she's like, yes, I just don't want to have sex, and I can't explain it. And yes, you're attractive. And she says she wants to have sex. And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so talking to a physician, figuring out if there are any biological workarounds around that libido, and then figuring out what your personal workarounds are. I mean, it sounds like, you know, you're saying, I want sex, the problem is that, but what's underneath that a little bit? It sounds like a little bit of wanting validation, wanting to feel attractive, wanting somebody to be attracted to you, you know, maybe wanting that physical release, that dopamine rush and everything that goes along with the sexual experience. So that's another part of it. But there are ways to get both of those things and perhaps other things that you're looking for from sex without necessarily having intercourse with your girlfriend. So whether that means that sex for y'all is taking a hot, soapy shower and maybe there's touching and everything gets a little steamy, and then if it doesn't lead to intercourse, maybe that's enough, or maybe that is your warm-up to mutual masturbation or some other workaround that's going to feel better. You know, I would just encourage y'all to maybe expand that definition of what quote-unquote sex is, because sex is not just a penis and a vagina, I'm here to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
There are plenty of great ways to have that sexual expression that don't necessarily involve that particular act, whether it's alone, whether it's, you know, maybe she's making it sexy by taking pictures for you for when you're alone. Maybe it is something where, you know, y'all are talking about it and then you're going off by yourself, or maybe it is something completely different that I haven't even thought of. Whatever it is for y'all, there are workarounds.
Yeah. Using toys.
Yeah, absolutely. A number of different toys. I mean, there are your lotions and potions and
Well, and I would say too, it sounds like this hasn't always been the case. It doesn't sound like she is, if my terminology is correct, like asexual. Like, it sounds like she has traditionally had a sex drive in the past, and it's only been recently that that's been diminished. Is that what I'm getting from you? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. And like it was everything was fine for a few weeks, and then she even it was almost too much. When you kind of first meet someone, and she said that she's very sexual, and and then everything changed when they increased the dosage of that medication.
Because what I've traditionally had in my experience with relationships is that if I'm in a relationship with someone that is absolutely out of this world, super healthy, amazing, the person understands me, they get me, they're there for me, there's an emotional connection, I'm going to try to do anything and everything I can to make sure that relationship lasts and to treat them right and to be there for them. If I'm in a relationship, like I have been in relationships in the past that were much more just about the sex, and when the other person stopped having a sex drive, I was like, okay, well, why am I exclusive in this relationship if it's only about the sex? So that's something you kind of like, I'm not going to advise you one way or another on, but it sounds like this has not been a long time thing. You're not in a relationship with someone who has no sex drive and has never had a sex drive. You're in a relationship with someone who has a low libido right now, and you're working through that. So I wouldn't lose heart just yet. I would, look at what your different options are. Like they were saying, talk to a physician, see what other medications, she can be on, or if this medication is the right medication at all, as well as look into other ways to get a release, whether it's through playing with each other. I know in some cases people have had open relationships. I am not going to tell you one way or another. That's a very tricky route to take, and that's very personal. But there's a lot of different avenues. I would just be careful with something that is temporary, that has only been kind of a recent development, to really gauge the future of a relationship based off of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip.
I also saw in the live chat a comment that I think actually struck me as rather poignant, and that is that with what you've shared, you said it felt like rejection, but based on the circumstances and the communication that you've had, I think kind of a change of outlook, because it doesn't sound like you're being rejected at all. It's a situation that you're going through together, but it's not one in which you're, being rejected as a person as much as a situation and a circumstance that you're working through. The personal side of it is something that you both can forge through together, and I really hope you do. I really hope that it works out, because it's a tough path, and I wish you the best.
Yeah, I might see that opportunity to shower together as her expressing, a desire and an interest and a sexuality for you and towards you. But it can be hard to interpret that if our lens, if our culture, if just the way we view our desirability is whether or not we're getting to have intercourse.
Well, and the same thing can go for guys who are listening, or girls who are having the same issue with a guy, where, maybe the guy isn't able to get hard. Maybe he isn't able to, and it's not that he's not attracted. It's not that he's not into you. It's that, it's a hardware problem.
Yep.
The tyranny of hydraulics.
I didn't think of it that way. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense.
Rock on.
Yeah, so I hope that helps. I think that this is a great opportunity to expand your repertoire, figure out whether it's dirty text or leaving each other notes throughout the day, or, finding some other form of sexual expression that she's excited about and that she's on board with. And so I guess a little hesitation in like introducing, okay, here's our action strategy, here's our plan for how we're going to fuck more. Good luck with everything. I do know that it's an uncomfortable place to be, and sometimes very physically uncomfortable.
Yeah. Ooh, one more. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
This is a good time to find different ways to be romantic. Because I think that one way that can actually help you through this, in my experience, is finding other affirmations of love. Finding other languages that you can love, that you can share to show that love and that care. And that can really help. You know, you need to work on keeping that bond. And yeah, do something really sweet. Be romantic. Find ways that you can discover each other more and learn more about each other, because that's going to help you through while this is happening.
I like that, and I would add on top of it, if you are able to view this as a challenge, and it may not be something that you can, you know, get her aroused or get, you know, she doesn't owe you sex. You may not be able to physically, you know, get her to that point. But if you view it as I'm going to try anyways to be extra sweet, to do, you know, things that turn her on emotionally.
Make it a video game. Make it an engineering problem of how,
it's almost,
you know.
Make all your friends' girlfriends jealous. Be like, how come you don't do that for me?
Yeah, she comes home and you've, you know, made dinner and you have, you know, flowers on the table and sweet notes, and you have some scavenger hunt that you're going to do as a date together, or you've done some like really kind, thoughtful thing. And then, you know, you spend extra time with like foreplay or with, you know, little ways that can kind of build that intimacy. And if you take it to the next level, like 10 times as thoughtful and sweet, learn what her love language is. And if you're really, really, really going the extra mile, that may be all that's needed. Now, I'm not saying it will be. I'm not saying it will be. It might not work. But
I mean, it's a good point, though. I mean, Freud talked about sublimation and this idea that, like, we have this sexual energy, and if we're not banging it out, it's going to go somewhere. He basically blamed the Industrial Revolution on British uptightness. So I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I do know that maybe this is an opportunity to take some of that energy and channel it.
Yeah.
Well, and also if during this period in time, if you really actually go the extra mile and make this relationship just 10 times as incredible for her, and, you know, she is appreciative of that and notices that and reciprocates it, then, like, not necessarily sexually, but then once you get through this stage, once, you know, if her libido comes back, then you've taken this time to really escalate things and to show her how much you care. And I mean, just wait and see.
Go through it together. Have that journey.
Thanks, guys. Well, you guys said a lot, and
yeah, it's a lot to wrap your mind around. I do love that we have 3 guys on the show, and when it comes to like strategies for women wanting to have sex with you, we're like, okay, I'm here for it. That you do this and this and this.
Well, yeah, I was kind of hoping there would be a woman on the show.
that's a good point.
Maybe I'll call back next week or in a week or two with an update and maybe get a feminine perspective. But
hey, that sounds great. And of course, feel free to shoot us an email. We'd love to hear what's working, what's not, how she feels. And yeah, please feel free, sex@atheist-community.org. We'd love to hear from you and keep the conversation going.
And hop in the live chat. We have a live chat full of women who have things to say about it. So hop in.
Hopefully it's not about how wrong we are.
I'm
someone in the chat,
only a percentage.
Someone in the chat wrote, gamify it, the connection, not the intercourse specifically.
Yeah.
I just leveled up and got 5 points added to my stamina.
So good luck to you, and let us know how it goes.
Can I just tell Thomas something real fast?
Oh, yeah.
Thomas, I'm a huge fan of Holy Kool-Aid, and I'm just wondering if you haven't done one, I didn't see one anywhere, are you going to do a video on the cosmological argument?
I have touched on the fine-tuning argument. I haven't really just done a video specifically on the cosmological, but I could. It's one of those things where it's an argument that's been so heavily beaten into the ground that I could provide my perspective. I'm not sure what new stuff I would offer, but I'm open to taking a look.
Cool. I just want one that I can just forward to people easily, like I've done with some of your other videos, to disabuse them of their weird ideas.
Okay.
Well, fair enough. I appreciate so much you calling, and yeah, I guess everybody should look for more content on YouTube from Holy Kool-Aid.